Shalom and welcome to Education in Time of War. My name is Rachel Raz, and today with me, Motti Gallam, joining me from Israel. Shalom, Motti.
Shalom, hello everybody.
And I'm delighted to have you, Motti. We had the opportunity to meet not too long ago here in the suburbs of Boston in Lexington, Massachusetts. Motti Gallam is a dedicated clinical social worker and a former reserve mental health officer, lieutenant colonel, with a specialization in couple and family therapy and in trauma. You're residing in Binyamina, Israel, this beautiful town. He operates a private clinic both in Binyamina and in Tel Aviv, and also provide teletherapy sessions in Hebrew and in English for international clients addressing issues such as trauma, but also resiliency. And beyond his clinical practice, Motti is deeply involved in delivering lectures and conducting resilient workshops around the world, sharing his extensive experience and insight. And I'm happy that this podcast is part of that. We're going to share some of your wisdom. In addition to his professional endeavors, since October 7, the beginning of the war in Israel, Motti actively volunteer, this time collaborating with various organizations to support and affect families with affected families and individuals, including those survived the Nova Festival, soldiers, family of hostages, wounded soldiers, and more. And is also giving lots of lectures as about his experience as social worker and therapist during wartime, and really offering a unique experience on the challenges and responsibility of mental health professional in this time of conflict. And as I mentioned, I met Motti recently in Lexington, Massachusetts, where when you led a group of soldiers from Golani on their journey as part of a program that's called Peace of Mind. Peace of Mind brings soldiers to Jewish communities around the globe. And while being hosted by the community, you go through a program with them. Maybe you can share a little bit more about it as part of our conversation. And this is the second time that actually my community, Temple Emuna in Lexington and Temple Isaiah, are hosting groups. And I can tell you that I know from you that it's making a huge impact on the soldiers and you, but it's also make a very big impact on us here in the United States and the host community. And we're going to talk also about that, about this, very unique opportunity. So Motti, before we dive in, October 7 shook so many people around the world, in Israel in particular, in the Gaza envelope, in some areas there, but all over the world, also here in the Boston area. Let's start with your own story, because there are many stories. Where were you on October 7? I know that you were out of Israel, where it hits you, and maybe how it kind of drew you to the work and the volunteer you do.
Okay, thank you again. Thank you, Rachel, for inviting me and being here. First of all, it reminds me the amazing week that I had in your community, and I want to thank you and thank Lori and David and the people that hosted us. It was an amazing week with the soldiers. Some place inside of me, I'm waiting for the day that I will not speak about October 7, because I understand now that it affects me so much, and the people in Israel and also in the diaspora, because that terrible Saturday, the Black Saturday of October 7, it's still here. It's still here. We feel it. We talk about it. All the news are talking about it. Like our life stops in October 7. This I can tell you. Okay, this is the second a Holocaust of the Jewish people. This is how I see it, and many people. So I'm volunteering in many organizations, as you said, and in 6th of October, I was in Poland with a delegation of psychologists and social workers. The organization called Natan, and they sent us to Poland to meet or to make some workshops to women from Ukraine about, guess what? Trauma and resilience. So I landed there and it was an amazing day, the 6th of October in Poland. I met this amazing patriot woman from Ukraine and we had a great day. It was a sunny day and we laughed and we meet together and they ask a lot of questions and then they wanted to study about resilience and trauma and how to cope with those things because they were from the education system there. And that was the first day and it was a great day. In the evening we had a party and we danced with them. It was amazing because it's women who came from the war. And it's not like here. I mean, it's like when we talked about our welfare in Israel, they were laughing and I said, we don't have nothing. I mean, if there is a bomb in your neighborhood and the glass is broken, this is what it is. You have to sleep without windows for a few months in the cold of Ukraine, for example. So we went to sleep, and in October 7 in the morning, and every time that I share my story, I shivered and I feel very excited. My colleague, Nurit, is a psychologist. She woke me up. She was in this next room to me with screaming and shouting. It was like less than 7 a.m. I mean, 6:30, something like this, 7 in the morning. And she started to shout and say, Motti, wake up. A terrible thing is happening in Israel. And I said, would you please not shout? Let's have coffee. Okay, it was a few misses on Netivot or Sderot. We know this. I mean, don't get too excited. It will be okay. And she said, no, you don't know what you're talking about. And I will tell you why. Because her son is working in Soroka Hospital in Beer Sheva. And he sent her a text and he said, Mom, there are a lot of trucks with bodies who are coming to the hospital. So something terrible is happening. And she was screaming and crying, and we opened our phones and we tried to understand or to listen to the news. While I'm trying to relax her and understand what's going on, I remember that I have 3 kids and wife. My wife was with my older son in Thailand, okay, in Kopangan. My daughter was in the army. She served in the south, near Netivot and Sderot and all these places. And my youngest son, Ofri, he was at home. So I said, okay, what's with them? I want to know what about, because there is a war. And while I'm trying to understand what is going on, I got a phone call from friends in Binyamina. And she said, Motti, I need your advice. She didn't know that I'm not, she thought I'm in Binyamina. There was a terrible event in the south. They kidnapped my son's girlfriend, by the way, in Bar Ayman. She is dead. And I have the video. And she sent me the video. And I'm watching the video and I don't understand what is going on. I see terrorists carrying this beautiful girl, half naked with blood and on the ground, and they're shouting and singing and happy. And I'm starting to understand. And she said, tell me what to do. I mean, to share the video with my son to let him see how they kidnap his girlfriend. I told her no. Okay, for now, don't show him the video because watching the video is terrible. Just tell him what happened and don't show him anything. Okay, so I finished the conversation with her, and then we went to meet the women. I mean, we have to start the day. We came to the to breakfast, and we met this woman, but they knew already what is going on in Israel. So they waited there for us, and we just started to cry together. They hugged us. I mean, they came from the war, and they hugged us, and they start to cry and say, we have the same destiny. We know what you're talking about. And during this day, we try to teach, to watch news, to understand what's going on. We were 4 therapists. Anyway, the next day we stopped everything, and Natan, they tried to find us tickets because we wanted to come home. And there was no tickets. I mean, I spent 4 days during the war in Warsaw. I'm sitting in a coffee shop in this amazing place, and what is going in my mind is in this place the Nazis been through in the past, and now we have the same story in Israel. This is what happened in my mind. I just sat there and couldn't enjoy no coffee, nothing, because I was thinking about Israel, and we are in a war now, and I'm sitting here. So on Thursday, I got a flight from Paris and there, and I came to Israel. And my son, who was in those days, I spoke with my wife, and she said, "Tell him, Omer, tell him not to come back, please. I'm begging you." Because when he heard he's a combat soldier, he was an officer. When he heard that there is a war, of course, he just ordered a ticket and went home. And there was this Jewish guy who gave tickets to all the soldiers that wanted to go back to Israel. Wow, it's not easy. Every time that I'm talking about it, it's not easy for me. Um, and she said, "Please tell him not to go back." And I told her, "How can I tell him? I mean, all his friends are there inside the war, so he's a growing child. I can try, but he will not listen to me." And this is what happened. He came to Israel. We met. I picked him from the train station. We went home, and we'd have coffee, and he say goodbye, and he wore his uniform. And imagine the feeling that I'm sending my son to the war. My wife is still there in Thailand. She was like crashing. I mean, she didn't know what to do because she has no tickets to come back. She stayed there. Her son is going to the war. Her daughter is in the south in the army. We didn't have a connection with Amit for like 2, 3 weeks. And my youngest son was at home watching the terrible videos. So this was my October 7. And while I was here, I started to get phone calls from a lot of organization, and one of them was from the mayor of Binyamin. He told me, "Motti, we have Nova survivors here. We have a big group who's coming to Binyamin. I want you to go there and meet them." So this is how I started. I met these, I can say boys and girls because they're so young. They came from the party. They didn't know what's going on. We tried to organize for them a place with music and food and everything here in Binyamina. Like, let's continue the party. Okay. But they were like, I saw their eyes. They were traumatic. All of them, they were crying. They were with their families and parents. And I start to listen to the stories. And while I'm listening to the stories of Nova survivors, I mean, I don't want even to tell you the stories, okay? Because it's terrible, terrible stories. And from that day, this is what I'm doing. I mean, for me, it's like my mission till today, by the way. This is what I'm doing. I don't mind. I don't care for other things. Everything like making me bored. I mean, I sometimes I don't enjoy going to the movie, or because this is what I'm doing. I'm meeting soldiers, I'm meeting Nova survivors, I'm meeting bereaved families, hostage families, everyone, wounded soldiers. I'm coming, by the way, to United States in 2 weeks from now with wounded soldiers, also to the Jewish communities in New York. So more or less, this is my story, and this is my life from October 7th.
And so I first of all, I want to thank you, Motti, because the work that you are doing is so valuable, and I saw it here, and also through your story. For our audience that joining this podcast for the first time, the name of the podcast is Education in Time of War, and I did start it is after October 7, 2023. I can't believe that today is 569 days. We still have 59 hostages, and the war is still going on. And even this week, we hear about soldiers that losing their lives, and the devastation and the tragedy, all of this region, with all of the countries. You know, we all always dreamed about peace and living together, and it seems so far. And I created this podcast for a couple of reasons. First of all, to document what's going on, because the stories that you tell us, not everybody, we don't have access to it around the world. And also we're talking about the very large numbers of stories. But I also wanted people in this very difficult time to meet inspiring people and the work that they are doing. And person like you that doing a lot. But I also wanted to bring tools for people in a during the same time of conflict and war, but also in other crisis time and also not in crisis time. So I want to ask you, Motti, we call it education, and in a new challenge, we need to educate ourselves to deal with this. And maybe you can help me and the listener to make some order. First of all, what is trauma? Then how do we deal with it? And you're even talking, how do we grow from it? So maybe you can share with us from your experience from all over the years, not just from October 7, but also from October 7 with some example.
Trauma is, or traumatic event, it's something that make us feel insecure, unsafe. Okay? This is the main issue. For example, a soldier in a battle. But there are also other examples, like when you're stuck in an elevator, it can also be a traumatic event because the main feeling is that you feel helplessness. Okay? There is a big difference between a soldier who is fighting and between a soldier who is like stuck in a building with two dead bodies of his friends next to him, and he's got, I mean, his rifle is not working, and the terrorists are coming. So, by the way, yesterday I heard a lecture of a soldier from October 7 who was wounded. It was an amazing story, and this is what he told us about how he fought in October 7 and the moments that he was sure that he's going to die. And he had like 10 miracles in one day. But trauma is the moment when you feel that something is very like something dangerous is happening and you can't do a thing. Okay, and we have some options. For example, let's imagine that you're in the forest and there is a bear who's coming out from the cave. Okay, he wants to attack you. I think a lot of people heard about the three Fs. Okay, what are the three Fs? Freeze, fight, or flight. This is our options. So some of us can freeze when they are in danger, like doing like this. You're not moving, and it happens, by the way, also during a war. There are soldiers who are just stopping because it's too much for them, and sometimes like you have to do something to shake them and make them go back to fight. So you can freeze, you can flight, for example, running, escaping, or you can fight. During a traumatic event, most of the people feel that they can't do a thing. This is the moment that is so scaring because you feel helplessness, and we all need like the feeling of we have to do something. Let's take the first day after October 7. What happened here in Israel? We all were in shock. People didn't understand what's going on, and we had this feeling that this is what is causing trauma, loss of control. You feel that you have no control on anything. I mean, the army didn't function, the police didn't function. I mean, they function, but this is what we thought as citizens, that what is going on? There are terrorists in Israel. Where's the army? Where's the police? Where's everything? This was the feeling. And after 3 or 4 days, we began to organize. And you know what I'm talking about. There are a lot of organizations, also communities from the diaspora and United States who started to help us and to do things. I mean, I'm talking about getting support to the army, equipment, everything. People start to be in the fight position. So this is when I'm talking about PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder, it's something that happened to soldiers, not all the soldiers, but I will tell you even in percents, it can happen during a war. But let me tell you a secret. And I'm sure that everybody will be surprised now. More than 90%, okay, 90% of the soldier will not be post-traumatic. Okay, so this is good news, but this is we made researches here in Israel and during the war. It means that we have to trust the soldier that they have enough power and resilience that they can cope with a lot of things. People think that every soldier is coming back from the war is post-traumatic. No, a lot of them coping. And I want to share another small story, and it happens in October 7 and in November 2023, 1 month after the disaster. I got a phone call from an organization called Momentum. It's also from United States. And they told me that they're bringing like 3 buses of men from United States and Canada to Israel, and they want me as a social worker to escort them and to be with them because we're going to make a tour in Israel. And they need in the evening someone that will listen and help them to process the things that they saw. This is what we did. And I remember this moment, I will not forget it. They took us to Kfar Aza, and I stood there with them, with Jewish people that I don't know, I never met. And we stood in front of the burned houses, and it was smoke and smell and everything. And it was disaster, like an Holocaust. And they took out their kippah, they put on the head, and we start to pray, and they say Kaddish, and we did it together, and we are crying and hugging. And for them, this can be a traumatic event. I mean, till today, we have connection, and they remind me these days that they saw there and saw the disaster. I think it's important that people will see it or smell the smoke, smell the blood. It's important, but it also can be very traumatic. So in the evening in the hotel, we sat and we spoke about it. So this is trauma. Trauma is an event that make you feel like, wow, what is going on? Am I safe? Is it okay for me now? How can I continue from here? And people are losing their self-confidence and the trust in other people, in the world, in everything.
It's
So
fair to the Motti for the you mentioned the Momentum group. So from the American side, or from looking from the outside, there are many, we call it them like solidarity groups that came out from many synagogues and organizations and federation. They also, one thing they wanted to come and show the support that even in a time of war, we're coming and being with our brothers and sisters in Israel. Even some group actually came for 3 days. It was just like just to come and see, and also to assess how can we help from here. I can tell you that we open here like Chadar Milchama, like a control room to send things to Israel, to some of the people that had to evacuate their home and stayed in hotels, and to the soldiers, because it was really a major event. And the other idea behind all of this solidarity group, they call it to bear witness. So in some way to go there and come back and say, this is what I saw. It's not something that they told me, maybe they manipulated me. And in some way, the way we look right now at what's going on in the media, how they turn it around, that it's Israel's fault, that it's like what's going on. We for people to be able to see it. I know that I've visited Israel many times since the beginning of the war, and every time I come and I take picture because it's important to show that. So it's definitely.
I don't think that Jewish around the world understand the importance of the connection with us. And we in Israel, we also don't understand the importance of this connection. I learned it from October 7. I understand now that we are like 2 brothers under the same roof. Because, for example, this Friday I met a Jewish from Australia, donors that came to Israel, and I gave them also lecture about what I'm doing here. I shared my story. And it was so exciting. During the lecture, people start to cry. And in the end, they come and hug me. It's not that I'm an hero. I mean, but I spoke about the importance of the connection with them. And one of them asked me, and I will not forget it. He asked me, Motti, tell me, what do you need from us? I mean, maybe he thought I'm going to say, okay, we need money. No, I told him, we just need to know that we are together. That's all. We have to know that you are there and we are here and you are supporting us, but we also have to support you because I know today that there's a lot of anti-Semitism around the world and people are sharing stories about what happened to the kids in the universities, in the streets. So this is very important to understand that we are together. This is what we need.
And in some way, this is like one of the way to deal with trauma and even grow from it. It's the power of community.
Exactly,
And
exactly. People are asking, what do you mean PTG, post-traumatic growth? What does it mean to grow from trauma? So I want to share with you a few examples. I mean, October 7 affected a lot of people. And for example, I sat with Nova survivors in Cyprus. I was with them there in a beautiful place, and we sat in the nature. And one of them told me that, I mean, he shared his story. Then it's, again, I don't want to share the story because it's terrifying. But then he told me, you know what? I discovered more things about myself from there. I told him, what do you mean? And he say, I was a shy guy. I didn't meet girls. I didn't have friends. I was with myself and I was afraid from everything. And after that terrible trauma that I experienced, and I lost friends in the Nova Party, and I met terrorists, and I also, I mean, I was close like this to be, not to be here. But today, when I look of the things that I've been through, I mean, I have perspectives on life. I got a new meaning for life. I feel more secure, even though that I had this trauma. I have more confidence. I even talk in front of people, things that he never did before. So he told me in the end, and if you take all this together, for me, I grew up from there. I mean, it was so, I went to the, like to the end. I was really close to death and I had a terrible trauma, and now I'm using it to help myself, and this is the way that I'm taking care of myself. I'm meeting people. I must tell you that I can say it also about myself. I mean, I wasn't in the war, okay? But for me, what I'm doing is that I'm talking now and I'm giving lectures and everything, for me, it's also the way to like to cure myself from these terrible things that happened here in Israel. So a lot of people like get over the trauma and even discover themselves like I'm a new person. This is things that I'm hearing. Or one of the brothers of one of the kidnapped of the hostages also told me that, I mean, he said, who was dreaming? My mother didn't dream about it, that I will travel in the world and give lectures in universities and communities. I was a person who didn't speak at all. And now I'm talking in the news and I'm meeting people. So for me, I'm a new person. This is what I mean. People can grow from traumatic events.
that's amazing. We spoke about tools a little bit. I know that some people, we all in some way different type of trauma. Some is major, some a minor. I know that you're also working with people that go through divorce in families. So what other, so how can people actually deal with this? Do you have some tools that maybe other people can learn from you?
Yes. Um, I know a lot of people are asking me, Moti, what are you doing with the soldiers? What exactly is happening? What is the journey that you're taking them to Romania or to United States or to Canada? And you're talking about processing, okay? The things that they've been through. What do you do there? I mean, and I can share it with you. I mean, when I'm meeting a group of soldiers, first of all, when, for example, people are asking about why why you are going to another country? Why can't you do it in Israel? We can do it in Israel. But these people, these soldiers, they need to be far. I also, as a therapist, when I'm far from Israel, I can work better because in Israel it's very difficult to do such things. I know that not a lot of people will agree with me, but it is what I know. When I'm landing in another country with a soldier, it's like we are in a bubble, and now we can talk, we can share. The head is free. We're like trying to disconnect from the telephones and everything. It's different. So when we sit there and what is it? I mean, processing to process the trauma, okay? We see there, for example, when I met you, okay, in Lexington, and when you said, you talked about your place, I got excited and good memories from the meetings with your community. We sat in the synagogue and in Azaya and Emuna and with the soldiers from 8 in the morning till 5 afternoon, and we're talking. And me and the other therapist, Yehuda, my colleague and my friend, we are listening to them. So we have a program, okay? We have like a schedule, what we are doing. For example, today we're talking about trauma. Tomorrow we talk about resilience. We're talking about how it affects your life. But the main issue is that they're sharing their experience from the war. Okay, so what is a war? A war is a big chaos. A war is, in Hebrew, we say balagan, okay? You have smoke, you have noise, you have people shouting, people are getting hurt, die. There's a lot of noise of bombing, and take all this and put it in the brain of a young man who is like 20 or 30, for example. So what they have inside, it's not an organized story. They have a story, but it's like confused. You came from here, I came from there. It was 5 o'clock, it was 4 o'clock. Who was the blood? I saw blood on your shirt. Who was it? And who died in 10 o'clock? Niv or Chaim? So they have the story is not organized. What we're trying to do, first of all, to make the story more organized. So when you have a story, think about yourself. When you have a story, you want to know that there is a beginning, there is an end, and there is a story himself. But when in a war, you don't remember, you just functioned. And after that, things are starting to fall in your mind. So first of all, we're trying to make order in the story. I want to share with you a small example. I was with soldiers also in Romania, and I remember the day we sat, Rachel, from 8 to 8. 12 hours we sat, and they insist to sit outside. They bring blankets in Romania. It was cold. I remember it. We sat outside. Even during lunch, they said, no, stay still, and we're going to bring the soup outside. So we took the food outside. They didn't want to stop. And another colleague told me, Motti, it's too much. 2 hours is enough. I told him, okay, let's wait. And they start to talk. And they start to again share the story again and again and again, who came from where and what happened and who died and who shouted. And it was 12 hours. We cried with them. We hugged with them. We did everything with them together. All the therapists were crying and hugging, and it was a crazy day. But in the end, one of them came to me, their commander, and said, Motti, thank you. It was so important for the team to make this closure. So this is one of the things that we're doing. We're like building the story again. And the other thing, this is also important, we are helping them to regulate their feelings, because some of them are suffering from an anxiety, sometimes depression, and the feelings like this. They can go from 0 to 100 in 2 minutes. So we're trying to make like an awareness to what happened in my body, what am I thinking about, and how can I control it? Okay, we're trying to help them. So I'll give you, when I'm talking about traumatic or PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and who is not, let's take, for example, 2 examples, okay? One soldier is like walking in Tel Aviv with his girlfriend, and they are having a good time. Okay, he's not a soldier now. And they are having fun and laughing and eating and having fun. And then there is a motorcycle who is making a big noise next to them. So you can see the man's face. I mean, it's like this. He's freezing and he's holding his girlfriend's hand, and I saw it. And she knows what happened. And she's he told her and he's telling her, let's go home now. But what let's go home now. I can't be here. So sometimes she says, okay, excuse me, everybody, we have to go, and they're going. This is someone that you can say that is post-traumatic because he cannot control what he's feeling. The other guy, for example, can have the same feeling. I mean, when he'll hear the noise of a motorcycle or something else, he'll have the same feelings, but when he'll have awareness and he's knowing his body and he did some processing and therapy and everything, he will feel the tense in his body, but he will take some breath. He will say to his girlfriend, okay, give me a minute. He can go 5 meters from her and relaxing and working on his body, and he can come back. So this is what I want to say, that the trauma is there, okay? But we're trying to change it from trauma to memory. Okay, you have to control the trauma, and not the trauma will control you, because it will not disappear.
Yeah, and I can tell you, Motti, that I live thousands of kilometers away from Israel, but I've been there through some of the siren, and I had to run away to a shelter because my family don't have a shelter at home, so I had to go to a public one. And I still today, when I'm sitting here in the suburbs of Boston, when I hear an ambulance, immediately my heart is jumping. And then I said to myself, no, I'm here.
Exactly.
And it
Exactly.
take me this second. And I remember one friend at the YMCA, we had a conversation. She said, wow, you live in a different world. We're in the same pool in the YMCA, but like because of the experience. So so absolutely. So I thank you, for sharing those. I think that understanding what is trauma, to understand, because sometimes we experience things and we don't know that they are traumatic, but they affect us and we don't really know why, what is it. So I think it's very valuable to know, and then to regulate. I think it's a very important. Yeah. And I know that you mentioned, you spoke a lot about what you do. It's like the processing and talking, because I know when my father was in the Yom Kippur War, nobody spoke about it.
Yeah.
Because it was also like, let's, we need to be tough, we'll be strong, we kind of block it in and we can continue. And this is in some way like very much part of the philosophy that I kind of grew up with, that, you just, something happened, you move on. I know that our children and the young generation and today we're much more open. Maybe can you say a few words about the two different approaches?
Yeah, it's a big change. It's an amazing change. In 73, in October War, it also was a terrible war. You know what they did with the combat soldiers after when they came back from the war? They sent them to a vacation, to rest in an hotel. And then they thought that it's the best thing because they need to rest. Let me tell you something. It's the worst thing to do. You know why? Because when you have, as I said before, okay, when you took part in a war, you have a lot of memories and things that you've been through, and your body is like this, and everything is inside. And then imagine that guy sitting by the pool with no one to talk, no one to share. Wow, when I'm talking about it, I'm shivering. I mean, it's crazy because you just sit there and everything comes up, but you don't have anyone to share with. So this is, I mean, today we're not doing it. So this is what they did before. And now we understand that it is the worst thing to do, because soldiers need to share the things that they've been through. Today in the last war that we have, still having, a mental health officer, as I was before, they are going inside Gaza with the soldiers. I mean, as a soldier, you can finish a fight with terrorists, like something happened and you have shooting and things, and they're waiting for them maybe 1 hour after the fight. They're still with the clothes, with sometimes blood and sweat and everything, but there is someone there and they can share it. They can share feelings like guilt, like fear, like an anxiety, okay, loss of control. And when you share it and you have, sometimes you just have to listen to them, not to do a lot of things, but when you share it, you take it out and it helps you a lot. And I mean, as a mental health officer, what my mission is, first of all, to see what happened with the soldier, and to make an assessment of his power and resilience. And the second thing and the best thing that helps soldiers is to go back. Okay, it's crazy, but it is what is helping him, overcome the trauma, is being with their friends. I had a phone call from friends in Binyamina also in the beginning. He is in Golani and he had the first days in a fort in Be'eri, and he had terrible things that happened there, everybody knows. And we are friends. And the mother called me and said, Motti, what to do? He came home after 2 weeks when he was in the war. He's sitting on the sofa and just staring. We don't know what to do. He needs therapy, he needs help, he needs to go to a psychiatrist. I can't see him like this. And okay, what I'm telling also to parents today, first of all, you have to trust them that they are strong enough. Don't just after one day send him to therapy or to psychiatrist and take medicine, or you are traumatic. No, wait a second. Okay, I told them, let him be. Just came from war. Let him sit, because tomorrow he can go with his friends to a pub or something. So just you as a mother, take a big breath and wait. Okay, and the second thing that I told her, what will be the best thing to do after? Of course, let's wait a little bit and let's see what is going on. To help him, maybe see a social worker or psychologist, but the main thing is that he will meet his friends again. Okay, because this is like brothers in arms, it's something real. I mean, when they're with their friends, okay, everything comes out and they are functioning again. And it's important to understand it.
And in some way, we're talking about the collective trauma. So in some way, at least in Israel, like everybody knows what's going on. I know that here in the US, when people are not involved in the Jewish community, lots of them felt that they have no one to share it. They go to their workplace and everybody around them, it's like nothing happened. And I know that we had lots of young people coming to our organization. I also involved with the Israeli American Council, the IAC. In a synagogue, we had lots of people gathering together, which was very important. I will just throw something at you. One of the things that came into my mind when I went to work or to the pool and people didn't know about it, that lots of people going through traumas that are not collective trauma and nobody knows, and they are alone.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we be more like sensitive that probably everybody around us, in a certain day going through something, is there anything to do? Nothing to do. This is,
No, of course,
for a different.
there's always something to do. I mean, again, we can't afford ourselves to be helplessness anymore. So the best thing to do is, I think, what I told to this guy from Australia, that you have to be together. When we were in when we met in your community with your community, and we were in the synagogue in a Friday evening, and you sang songs, and people have dinner together. I mean, sometimes this is what you need, the feeling of community, the feeling that you're not alone. And again, I want to say again that the Jewish people around the world, they have to remember always that we are here not only to be like a shelter in the terrible day that will come, okay? No, we have to be in connection. We need you and you need us. And when I know that I'm not alone when I know that I have brothers and sisters around the world and they will know it, this is what we need. I mean, the feeling that it doesn't matter what happened, I know that I can talk with people in Israel. I can call someone, cousin, friend, neighbor, and I'm not alone. In Israel, it is a collective trauma. For example, as a therapist, I can tell you that it's not easy because, okay, I have a clinic for years and many years, and I'm meeting people with trauma before October 7, but they had the trauma and I didn't. So I sat there as a therapist, okay? Now we share the same trauma. When I'm meeting someone who had the trauma in October 7, and I'm also as someone who lived here and we heard sirens and everything and saw all the terrible things. I mean, it's difficult because you have to deal with yourself, you have to deal with your family, and you have to deal with your patient. So this is collective trauma. All of us are sharing the same trauma.
Yeah.
All
And
the people here and around the world, we are sharing the same trauma. We are not in the post-trauma yet.
yes, yeah, unfortunately, we have a long way to go. And one of the nice tradition in the Jewish tradition is when somebody is saying Kaddish on somebody that died for the first year, they stand up for the mourner Kaddish because it allowed the community to see this person
Yeah.
can need you. You know, now they're going through this like period of time, go reach out. So there was like the structure to help you identify maybe those that need it. In our community, we also have a prayer if we want to pray for somebody that is sick. So people come up and they say it, so you can come and say like, who is the person is sick? Can we help? It's another way to do it. Motti, I wanted to ask you, uh, after October 7 and after every, I would say, extreme change, like during COVID, can be earthquake, it can be many different things. Is the profession of mental health changed after
Mm.
October 7 from your perspective?
A lot of things happened in the professional area. For example, you need a lot of creativity today. It's not like it was before that you have the clinic and you meet your patient for 50 minutes and that is. Today, like everything is opening. I mean, we have a lot of organization who are doing a lot of things that if you take 20 years ago, it sounds crazy. For example, there is therapy with running, therapy in gardening, therapy in everything, in cooking, in even in swimming. Okay, everything is becoming a way to help, and I think it's good because something is opening in our minds, and we understand now. I can tell you, as someone who's working in therapy for many years, that it's good because we understand now, okay, we have the theories and we have everything, but the main thing is to look at someone's eyes and tell him, I'm with you. This is what people need, especially in these crazy days. I I was also the same place as I said before in Cyprus, and I was with the Nova survivors, and the guide there who met us, the therapist and the survivors, and the first day he said, okay, let's meet each other, walk in this room. That was the mission. Walk in the room and just meet eyes. Okay, don't do anything, don't talk, just walk in the room and look for eyes. And I walk around, and then this young girl stood in front of me, and she's in the age of my daughter. And she stood in front of me, and I look at her eyes. Rachel, it was the saddest eyes I ever saw. She was only 23. And she's look at my eyes, and in a minute, she started to cry. I didn't do a thing, I just watched her. And I think she saw good eyes. This is what she saw. And she started to cry, and she put her head here, and I didn't know what to do. I hugged her. And I started to cry, of course, also because it was very sad and she didn't say a word. After that, we met in the group and she told me her story. But I think this is what people need. They need eyes, they need someone that they can hug, share. That's it. I mean, and
And
this is what we're doing now.
And I also can share from my experience, sitting here on October 7, and I like my adrenaline rush was like something is happening outside of my door, even though I was miles away. And one of the things that was very helpful, like so many friends, Jewish and non-Jewish, that reached out and they say, how are you? How is your family? A good friend actually came with a basket with some candies and said, just bringing you something sweet. And, of course, I start crying because it's just like, they noticed us, they knew, and I'm starting to cry now while talking to you. Another friend from the pool came to me and said, my church is praying for you and your people. My Iranian friends called in to say how we are doing. Over the years, I was in charge of Boston Haifa connection, and I took groups of Jews and non-Jews to Israel over the years, and many that I took 10 years ago reach out. And how are you doing? We're following. And with each one of them, I had to say that it's kind of like the trust in humanity to come and say, yes, we're people. We're here, we see each other, and the friendships. I had a friend at the pool that said to me, can I send you like funny videos of animal? Will it help? So, so all of these things, and I actually started a journal, which I usually don't journal, but I started a journal and I wrote like, who are the people that reached out and how it made me feel? Because it's just like, it's the reaching out is to be noticed. People are caring. That is so important. And I think that if some of our listener will take from it, notice the people around you, be part of a community, in the good days, and then it will come to the bad days. Don't just wait for like a terrible time to come, but to be part of a community. And I know that you share with me a song that is dear to your heart, that you feel that it's very appropriate for this time.
Yes,
And
you don't need someone to lean on.
yes, you need somebody to lean on, and I can show it some of the words and just let me see. I want to share it. Somebody to lean on. That it says, sometime in our life we all have pain. Yeah. We all have pain, and I'm here it is. Sorry for it. It's here.
Okay.
Yes. Sometime in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there is always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend, and I'll help you carry on. And we're not going to show the whole thing, but people can listen to it. It's a beautiful song, but it's the message. We need each other. We need each other.
Exactly. And it's the thing of community. In tomorrow is the Memorial Day here in Israel, Yom HaZikaron, and even without October 7, it's also always a sad day. In October 7, one of the kids here in Israel died in Be'eri also. He grew up with my daughter. And I remember the day, wow. I was at home, and I live in a small community. Binyamina is like a kibbutz, and everything you heard in a few minutes, you take a WhatsApp from here and from there. And then they said, Opa, Omer Bitan is died this is his name, Omer Bitan. He died in the war. And I told to my wife, wow, my God, we started to cry because I know him from kindergarten. And I told her I must do something. She said, what can you do? I mean, it's 7 p.m. What do you want to do? I said, I don't know. I have to meet people. This is what I'm talking about. So I started to send messages in many groups that I am in these groups. And I told her, please come to the garden next to my house and bring guitar and candles, and that's it. Let's sing and let's light candles and let's be together. Let's light candles. My wife told me I can't come. It's too much for me. Okay, you want to do it, but I'm not coming. And I said, why? I mean, let's be together. She said, it's too much for me. So what I want to say is that we have many ways of coping. okay, with these things. So I went to the place and a lot of, I mean, most of the community came with candles and we had a very sad evening, but very important evening because we were together and hugging and everything. So exactly, this is what we need. There is no like a magic how to cope or what to do from October 7. We have to stay strong, but we have to, unfortunately, it's not happening in Israel now, okay? We are divided, have many, many problems now inside Israel. But this is our mission also to help the people in Israel and around Israel, outside of Israel, Jewish people, to remember that we are brothers and sisters.
And how do you so like your wife that she said, it's not for her to be with people, and some people need the quiet, need to be at home, need to be away from everybody. What would you recommend to people around them? What do you do? Because you
Yeah,
want to help, you want to help, and we know many like that.
yeah, it's a good question because most of the people did things after a few days, even here in Binyamin and in all over Israel, and you know what I'm talking about. Also in the United States, people started to do things to help. What do you need? Let's make meeting. Let's raise money and equipment. But I mean, people need their time. Okay, after 3 days, my wife became to help in another place. Okay, but in when she heard the thing about that about Omar Bitan that was died in the war, she like froze. She didn't know what to do, and we have to respect it. In the beginning, I was angry. I mean, come with me, please. Let's do that. I can't. So there are many ways to cope with these things, but what I recommend also always is to be in the side of doing, because when you're doing something, it helps you. This is why I'm talking about it again and again and again, because it helps me a lot, and I know that I'm reaching some hearts here and there. And again, this is my mission for now, and it helps me a lot. And this is what I recommend. Don't stay on the fence. Do something.
Yeah, and this is in some way you answered. It was my question. Why you chose or to live day to day the October 7 in some ways. You kind of answer it already a little bit, because it's tough. It's like choosing to be in this like trauma day in and day out, and also taking all of these stories, which is a lot.
Yeah, this is what I'm doing. I mean, because I think it is a big event. I mean, October 7, it's not a regular war. It's not a terrorist attack. It's really an Holocaust, and I care. I care about my country. I care about the Jewish people. I care about good people here and around the world that I know, and I feel that I'm fighting for the good to win, I will not let the evil to win. So I'm trying to share and to help and to meet. My friends are telling me, when we meet you and we talk about other things, you give a feeling that you're boring and that you're bored. And when the word trauma comes up, and then you wake up and you like starting to talk. And so this is my story now. I mean, really, a lot of things I'm not interested. I mean, I make sport and I go out and I go to vacations and everything, but I will always prefer to meet a group of soldiers, to talk like we're doing now, okay? This is because again, it's for me, this is my PTG. I mean, my post-traumatic growth, and it helps me a lot, and I hope that I'm helping others.
And I won't just say like the evil and the good and the bad, but it's, I would say, like bringing light to the world. There's so much
Okay.
darkness, and how we
Exactly.
can bring light. And I know that I also try to do it through education and many of the program, and because there is a lot to do, so we feel like we need to do. So Motti, before we conclude, is there any message or anything you want to share with our audience before we conclude this conversation?
First of all, I'll be happy to share my story with everyone. I mean, and everyone wants to hear my story and the things that I'm talking about, just let me know, and I'll be there. This is what I'm doing. And the second thing is that don't lose hope. Never don't lose hope. Even after terrible things like this, even after we have a difficult days here in Israel, you see the demonstrations and everything, but we still have to have a lot of hope that things will be better. I mean, as a Jewish people, we know what does it mean to have difficult times, and it was the Holocaust Day a few days ago, and we have the Memorial Day tomorrow. We know what does it mean, tough times, and we've been through it from the Bible. We remember uh, uh, periods like this. And what I want to say is that we have to still believe that the good will win. And for that, we have to work. Okay? We have to share, we have to meet, we have to talk, we have to love each other. And this is my prayer. I mean, for the good things to win.
Hope, התקווה. It's also the name of the anthem, the Israeli anthem, התקווה בת שנות 2000. We always have hope.
Right,
We
right.
shouldn't lose it. You know, since Passover we celebrated recently, the holiday of freedom, חג החירות. As you mentioned, Yom HaShoah, Holocaust, and Memorial Day, the Day of Righteous people, and into Yom HaZikaron and Yom HaAtzmaut, with the triumph of in America. There, like I once heard, the general said, freedom is not free, and we have to pay, unfortunately, a very big price for that. But with people like you and educators and other and good people, we can at least minimize the trauma and even grow from it. So I want to thank you very much, Motti, for joining us, and thank you for our listener. I'm Rachel Raz, and we're in the podcast Education in Time of War. And we look forward to hearing from you, and also join us and listen to other podcasts as well. So, להתראות, Motti. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye bye, Rachel.